And Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. And he sought to see Jesus, who he was, and could not for the press, because he was little of stature. And he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him, and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. And he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. And Jesus said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost.
Our deal is what, honey?
It is $300 trillion reparations. We're gonna start with that. Yeah. We're very generous and understanding people, so we realize you might not have it all at one time. And we will work with you in terms of
you got to give it all.
In terms of getting yourself together. We need some real life, real tangible signs that you are authentic about this process and you mean to do right.
We don't take credit.
Now, we ain't taking no credit.
Or IOUs.
But right now, they're in the holes. They just came up with $2 trillion for the first round of stimulus. That's going to put them in the hole. And we talking about you need 298 more trillion. We have faith y'all are working out some kind of way. You always. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Realdealfam Network. I am Andre, and this is the gorgeous wife, Essie.
Boom!
Wow. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you haven't had the opportunity yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because, as my wife always like to say,
we're on 1,000 subscriber campaign.
1K subscribers.
Help us get there.
And they will, honey. I believe in them. I believe they're going to help us out. All right. Thank y'all so much. With that being said, let's dive right in. Today we like to talk about if something happens. We've been thinking since there's so much turmoil going on right now in the country. There's so many things going on in the world globally as we speak. And if something was to happen here domestically, where the country, some kind of tragedy happened, whether there's civil unrest or what have you, anything that pop up, what are some of your options?
The country was occupied.
What would you do, and what are some of your options in case something like that does happen?
Deuces. No, sometimes that's not necessarily an option. You know, if you're living in a communist country that's gotten taken over, China doesn't allow their citizens to leave without permission. You have to have approval from the government to leave. So,
right. Sometimes you do live in a country where freedom to move is not so free. And right now, with the pandemic going on and so many things going on all over the world, a lot of borders are closed, a lot of things of that nature are taking place. So moving out of one's country may not be an option. So there's other things you're going to have to consider.
If you haven't noticed, you're getting more similar to a communist country than you think. You're sitting home, many people, and collecting a check of some sort without having to do anything.
Well, that was a one-time payment.
Well, they're supposed to be sending out another payment. I'm just telling you, if you're sitting home collecting a check and they give you government jobs.
Yeah, it sounds a bit far-fetched. It was a nasty word back in the day, which is socialism.
Apparently not so nasty. Bernie Sanders ran on it.
Well, as you can see, he's out of the race now, so it's still, the country still hadn't evolved into that. I think the country has always been a demographic of people who like to work and like to control their own future. They don't want to be restricted or capped.
Most Americans want to work for their future.
Right. So right now, a stimulus check or something of that sort, or some kind of payment to help hold you over until things kind of blow over. That's understandable, but most Americans prefer to get back to work. And
it fills your belly, but maybe it doesn't soothe your soul.
Right, because nobody like the handouts, and you like to feel productive. And just like we said, though, if all of that falls and that you're not even able to get assistance from the government, it's not even able to produce those type things. You're not even able to purchase food. That might not be available.
Yeah,
you're gonna
they're telling you these things on the news.
Yeah, these are things that most Americans hadn't had the opportunity to think about. Everything has always been there for us.
I don't know about, white America. Black Americans have had to deal with these things since, I don't know.
Well, on a certain level. But you still could go down to the local grocery store, and if you had the resources, you could purchase it. Now, the plan...
A lot of black people was poor. They couldn't purchase a lot of things. You had to be on a tiny budget.
This is very true, but you got some other countries, there ain't no Walmart down the street on the corner.
Oh, that's true.
So that's what I'm talking about. Even if you have the funds, it's
well,
not
that's what's like for our grandparents, great-grandparents. They was poor or considered poor, but you band together, saved your money, bought some land, and grew your own crops because people wouldn't sell to you or whatever the reason was. So, but you still came up with your own.
You did, and you made do with what you had to do.
But just like in a communist society, land was stolen from them. The African Americans had land stolen. So in the communist society, you can't own anything. The government owns the land. So what happened to Castro? He took all the property and things from the people, and all that reverted back to the government, and you could rent it from the government for a certain period of time. After that time, you had to get permission again to rent it or purchase it or whatever it is. Yeah.
And these are all reasons why we posed a scenario to you on what would you do if something like that took place. If something happened and you needed to make some changes, or you needed to, like my wife said, perhaps think of relocating.
Well, the problem with that is a country is tied to its people. The value of a country is tied to the bodies or human bodies it has in the country. So like now you have your social security number is basically your stock and bond number. I think we talked about that in another video, where it ties each human individual to a specific amount of debt that citizen has. Now, it's fine for one or two or, a small amount of its citizens to leave. But if mass amounts of citizens try to leave, that's when typically countries close their doors.
But if there's chaos going on, I don't think any kind of numbers or anything like that's going to matter. In terms
that's when they try to prevent you from leaving.
Yeah, they may, but people are gonna always find a way to get out, and if they can. Now, some people, if you recall back during World War II, before that jumped off with Hitler over in Germany, some people had the opportunity to leave the country, and they did. They had the resources and the means. But some people elected, even with the resources, to stay. That's
because in no right sense of the word do you think chaos is going to happen where you live, or it's going to get that crazy. That crazy means millions of people going to die. You just can't imagine that's going to happen. So you typically try to tough it out and stay.
Yeah. But everybody don't have that option.
Yeah.
But some people who were thinking more carnally and thinking more materialistic was like, oh, well, I have all my life savings here. I got a business here. I got different things like that here. And like she said, as in what took place in Cuba, once the government take over, they consume that stuff.
Yeah, all communist societies, the individual is nothing but a worker. You're a stock and bond number. And you're only there in order to consume products. They just want to give you a certain amount of money so you can spend it back with the government and buying products and merchandise, but you're capped off at a specific amount unless you have ties to the government where you can get a good job or whatever.
Right. So with that being said, so what are some options besides if you can't leave? What can you do if you have to stay in the land?
The American spirit is to fight, fight, fight.
I think so. I think you first thing you want to do is secure yourself and find the safest place you can. And you probably don't want to be, if it depends on the scenario, you don't want to be in the city. You want to be somewhere where you could be spaced out a little bit, where you can have a little bit more, where you can see things.
What are those people called? The prepared people? They
call them preppers.
Preppers. I saw that. I'm like, what is a prepper? A pepper? No, prepper is somebody who comes, that's on their mind all day, even before any of this, when it was peace.
Yeah, they're consumed
with every can and carrying a knife, having a backpack ready in case there's an emergency pop off, which is great. But the life is basically consumed with prepping for a doomsday, basically.
So they don't actually live for today. They are continuously prepping for what could possibly take place. So if something do happen, those people are more than ready to survive such an event, or for the long term, stick it out.
In theory. But the problem with the prepper is that they have a lone wolf spirit, and any analysis on the lone wolf spirit when it comes to surviving tumultuous times, you have to have a community.
Yes.
Like, you can't shoot and defend yourself on all fronts. You have to have what they call a tribe or a band of people that you help each other. You can't do everything. So like somebody, maybe if you formed a little community, somebody get the water, somebody cook, somebody farm, somebody this and that. You have to have a community. Long-term survival for a loner prepper is slim.
Yeah, for some, a lot of those people are ex-military.
I know, but you're gonna run out of bullets. You're gonna run out of. You're just gonna. You need to band up with other people in order to long-term survive.
Right, I definitely believe in that, but it depends on the scenario. It depends on what the issues are that are causing people to have to isolate or band together. But like my wife said, I think it is better that you do kind of at least have a small community of people, the way y'all could kind of watch each other back and bring different skills to the table. If you're out there by yourself, if you happen to get sick or injured, how are you going to forage for food? How are you going to do different things? You can't.
Yeah, most experts tell you need to get you a little small tribe together and do your thing.
So all of these things are something you need to kind of keep in your mind today. There's a lot of different and a lot of strange things happening, things that happen in our country that at least my generation has never experienced.
Yeah. Yes. Our grandparents, I guess, experienced it, and they would tell us different stories about the war. African Americans, their grandparents, their great-grandparents often would tell you stories about how it was living in the South. And yeah, sometimes that's what they call the phrase strange fruit. You would drive by and see some bodies hanging as a symbol of don't speak, don't say anything. Somebody did something. You weren't allowed to take the body off of the tree. You had to drive by, and it was horrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that take place. It could be a reason of the country itself collapsing within due to infighting and racial tension. It could be a multitude of things, economics, or it can also be from an outside invader. Anything. You just always need to keep in mind that all things are possible here on earth when you're dealing with man. Mm-hmm. You always could get into something can always happen. Yeah. So just don't sit in your little home or your apartment or what have you.
And if you haven't gone to the grocery store and stocked up and got at least, you don't have to be a prepper, but you need to be smart and prepare. Yes. To have to go out. If right now they could call martial law at any moment and lock down the country. And what you gonna do if you can't get to the grocery store?
Yeah, so just kind of keep your ear to the grind, and look at some options just in case if something happened. And it wouldn't hurt you a little bit to kind of look in on, if you watch YouTube or what have you, look in on the channels of those people that's prepping. They do have some good sound advice.
Very interesting. You learn a lot. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so just stay aware. and remain safe. Stay out of the streets. Like we say, there's a lot of protesting going on right now, and some people are very emotional, and they're gonna make decisions based off emotion. So you want to remain home if possible.
What did you come up with another way you could deal with the problem?
Like I say, I think it's best if you can move, you want to do that first. You want to get to somewhere where it's safe, whether it's somewhere domestically or outside the country.
Well, if you didn't know, some Canadians, some Americans near the Canadian border have applied for asylum. They're seeking asylum into Canada from their country, the United States, because of all the things that are going on currently. So,
yeah, some people, just like we was talking about earlier, some people are preppers, some people are what others are called a conspiracy theorists. So they always keep that. If anything take place, they be like, okay, well, it's time to go. I need to move. This is possible.
Conspiracy theorists right now?
No,
your country's going to
that's what a lot of people like to label people who are always concerned about different things that could take place. So,
right now,
yeah. It's not really conspiracy when signs start manifesting. Well, take that into consideration.
And if you ain't right with the Lord, you're best to get right.
Yeah, we say that all the time because it's very true. It'll bring peace in your life and give you a better understanding of where you are and what's going on right now.
That said, we do have a number in mind that will help to make things right.
My wife continued to push that as well. And she asked me, and I came up with a figure, and I think it's as accurate as you can get. And I came with $300 trillion for reparations for us African Americans based on all the oppression and slavery that we had to endure.
That's right, American descendants of slavery. So instead of just throwing it out there with reparations, we're coming up with specific things that we can obtain that will help to, make things right or correct the situation you have. One of your problems, America, is
that'll go a long way and
civil unrest
and solidifying your network.
That doesn't have anything to do with what your old victims that have been, killed by police brutality currently. But as far as
or a stimulus, you can't include it in the stimulus.
Yeah, that's completely separate. That's for all the millions and millions of African Americans that have died, put their life on the line, lost their property, lost their businesses, just been decimated by racism in this country.
So that we'll add that one. That's one of the things that you can do to prepare. Is make sure you do right by the African American community. Like my wife say, we are very loyal and loving people, and we will help get this country back on track.
Yes.
All you got to do is just open up.
Yeah, that's right. African Americans have helped. Have been in like every war that you've had and help to win all these wars that you've had against other people. But if you don't have the soul,
well, that I think we discussed that. They know all about that.
Yeah.
Yes, but like we say, just stay prayed up, stay in your word, be very careful, and right now be sensitive to everything that's going on. Be aware of things. Don't be out here sleeping, being casual. This is 2020. This ain't 2016 or 2015 where you can sit back and Netflix and all that kind of stuff.
2020 is the year of return, if you didn't know.
Yeah, so be aware of things. Get some vision and knowledge.
And that's not 2020. We're not saying the year of return. Governments in other countries have said it's the year of return. They are inviting, your black population or poaching your black people to come to their lands. Basically, when they see Babylon is fallen, other countries are poaching your black people to get them to come because black people are considered builder of nations. That's our history.
We are. And now, you getting into that, that's one thing I like to add to that. like she said, other countries are presenting these opportunities for African Americans out there right now. I don't think it's going to be feasible with what they got going on with the.
Well, they are offering different business propositions and abilities to do different things. So
our people are not the kind of people that we're going to move from one place to another.
We're very loyal,
to be
long suffering,
to be used by any people. So if you asking us to come somewhere and you're offering us citizenship or what have you, you got to be doing it with a genuine spirit. Because right now, we don't think we're slow by far, because we're not. We recognize
we've been trained by
that.
the best of the best.
Yeah. So unless you come in the correct, don't even offer that, because all it's going to do is create a lot of problems for you. We're very blessed people, and the good Lord got our back. All it's going to do is cost you a lot of hardship. So I'm telling you now, don't be half slick. It's going to backfire on you. So do right by us. America has, like we say, y'all got the first option, but we all,
That's right. That's right. We got our deal on the table.
Yeah, we do.
Our deal is what, honey?
It is $300 trillion reparations. We're gonna start.
We have other demands as well, but $300 trillion is our starting offer.
That's what we start. Don't think it's crazy, but sit back and do your history and research, and then you'll find
that's
out
a low ball figure for
out
all the things
number.
that Black African Americans have done for this nation and to build other nations in their other territories. So that's a low figure. Not
to discredit anybody else or any other kind of people. We just saying our people are special and blessed. So just keep that in mind.
And if you see us talk about this, and you guys need to talk about this at your homes and churches and barbershops and different things like that, we need a specific dollar amount. Okay, you can't just go on in negotiations with just some random. We got a number. We got specific things we want, because other people's is poaching.
Right.
They want us.
Because there's a lot of belief that the problems that we're having now is kind of tied to the treatment and the history of this country and how Black people have been treated over time.
Yeah,
so,
it's biblical.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. I'm going to remain optimistic because I believe in the word. And so either way it go, I think we're going to come out on top. So
the deal will be signed.
If you want to join and enjoy a good life, just take care of the African American community. They're very loyal and good people. It's only going to bless you. You do wrong by them, you're going to have a very difficult time. It seems like you're getting over in the beginning, but in the end, it'll cost you. So with that being said, we pray that everybody out there be blessed and be safe in their homes. And if anybody out there in the streets, hopefully they can absorb what's going on, get some word in them, and get some direction in their heart. And if you have any comments, please leave them below.
Yeah, what do you think about our number?
What do you mean?
Is it too low?
I don't think it's too low. I think it's a realistic number.
It's a stick it to your number. You get the idea, don't you?
It's a number that's a feasible number, and like we say, we're very generous and understanding people. So we realize you might not have it all at one time. And we will work with you in terms of
you got to give it all up.
In terms of getting yourself together. We need some real life, real tangible signs that you are authentic about this process and you mean to do right.
We don't take credit.
Now we ain't taking no credit,
or IOUs.
But right now they're in the hole, so we need them to do something. So they just came up with $2 trillion for the first round of stimulus. That's gonna put them in the hole. And we talking about you need 298 more trillion. We have faith y'all will work it out some kind of way. You always do. So, like we say, if you have in the comments, please leave them below and let us know if you have any opinions about the situation or anything like that. It can only help to edify us and others who read it. And
that's right. We come to the table with a number.
Oh, yeah.
What you got?
300 trillion. Good night.